Good morning, Fed Phoenix fam. So we're like about 50 days from my self-surrender, and I'm not gonna post a video like literally every couple of days. Specifically like checking in prior to self-surrender. I'll probably post, informative videos between now and then. Now on December 3rd when I walk into prison. And then I'll do one of these check-in videos just whenever I feel like it. I mean, this one and the last one are a couple days apart. But I'd imagine, for the most part, they'll typically be weeks apart. Since, I mean, that's 50 days is a pretty significant chunk of time. I mean, that's almost 2 months. So anyway, and I don't want to, overload y'all with those or be too redundant. But I'm in a better place, I think, than I was a couple days ago when I made one of these videos. I'm not angry or resentful at the moment, which is good, right? I'm grateful for having these 50 days prior to self-surrender, right? Because during these 50 days, Halloween comes, which is my youngest child's favorite holiday. Gets so excited. And both of my kids, even though one's an adult, trick-or-treat together. Every year we've been doing this for pretty much ever. And it's really cute, and it's a bonding moment for all of us, and I'm glad I'll have that. Thanksgiving in my world is never really a big deal, but but it's cool that I'll be free for that. And then both of my children's birthdays are in November, one in the middle and one at the end. And so, having that with them this year will as well, will be nice. And, I decided to get vaccinated not because I'm pro-vaccine, because I'm actually completely against it. It's not a vaccine. It's an experimental drug. And in my opinion, for the majority of the population, an unnecessary, health risk to get. But, unless a certain percentage of the inmate population is vaccinated, the facility goes on lockdown. So I don't want to enter into prison as a person who's not vaccinated and potentially part of the reason for the lockdown, because all the inmates who don't want that mess, don't want the vaccine, if it, with it being a certain amount of people have to be vaccinated to not be on lockdown, the pressure to get the vaccine is not going to be from the established inmates amongst themselves. It's going to be from the established inmates onto the newbies, who don't have any social ties, or any real ties in the prison, population yet, the fishbowl, whatever, economics. So going in fully vaccinated just really, minimizes any potential just stress or drama that could play out as a result of that. And I get my second shot, the end of this month here in like a little less than 2 weeks. So I'll be going in with that, you know what I mean? And I need a little more time to get some of my medical documentation together, which I'll make copies of. I'll take copies in with me and then have the originals mailed to me like a week after I get there, when I know at that point I'm on the quarantine pod. So that if they take them, and you got to keep in mind too, when you take paperwork in with you when you surrender, that even though you're supposed to be able to keep a certain amount of legal documentation, even though there's really no viable argument to not allow you to keep a contact list you brought in, even though there's a lot of argument towards you keeping any medical documentation you brought in with you, to share with medical and your caseworker once you're in general population. The reality is, depending on what CO is dealing with you, or COs, when you come in, that may all get thrown in the trash. I mean, it just is what it is. You have to understand that even if something is logical, even if you're, technically, because it's a right, entitled to something, doesn't mean it's going to pan out the way that it should, or the way that makes sense. And that's just to be expected, at this point, once you're incarcerated. Like, it's just to be expected that things will be unfair, and your rights, will periodically just be trampled on, that you will be treated subhuman, by members of authority. Like, this is just, that protocol. And, you can be a person who studies, some people, they study for prison, so to speak. They read the handbook ahead of time for the facility they're going to. They learn what the BOP procedures is in various situations and scenarios. And then they get there and they're like, wait a minute, but that's not what the handbook says. But wait a minute, this is against procedure. Well, the reality is no one cares. No one cares. People do what they want. And you're not in a position to have much of an opinion about it, or for your to assume or even believe that your opinion is going to matter. In fact, the fact that you're educated on procedure and policy may be a downside for you. You know, it may kind of bite you, because especially if you're someone who's going to feel entitled to point that out to people of authority. Oh, you're not doing this correctly. Oh, this is the proper way to do that. Oh, I'm asking for this because I know under these circumstances this should be available. You know, you're probably just going to annoy people. And that's not going to do you no favors. You know, you really want to just kind of mind your business, do your time, and get it over with, and minimize the attention you're drawing to yourself as much as humanly possible. You know, not to say it's a bad thing to be somewhat familiar with BOP procedure, or it's a bad thing to be familiar with the prison's handbook. I mean, I could see the benefit in that. But at the same time, you know, stay humble, because if you're not humbled enough by the fact that you're about to go to prison, I can assure you the prison process will repeatedly beat you with the humble stick until you realize that that is your new station in life, is a very extreme humble. So, you know, and it's crazy because I'm such an organized person. I've started putting together a Walmart wish list. I know y'all know I be thinking outside the box. Like, y'all know that about me already. But, you know, a Walmart wish list for when I get home. Just normal stuff, you know, hygiene stuff, cleaning stuff, few household things. For when I get home, so that if any of my, like, immediate, you know, close friends or family are like, wow, you know, welcome home. You know, I heard you're getting your place, you know, next month or in a couple months or whatever. Let me know if you need anything. So I could be like, oh, funny you should ask. Here's a wish list. Feel free. Anything you order off this wish list will be mailed directly to me through Walmart.com. And there are $2 items. And I think the most expensive item is like $50, maybe $50, $60. But most of the things on there, you know, I was conscientious that, you know, to keep them as cheap as possible. One, because most likely I'll be buying them myself. And, well, you know, my budget is not ballerific. And two, you know, just to be humble and grateful that if, you know, I mean, any of my close people decide to assist with the things on this list, that it wouldn't be a hardship or a burden for them. But anyway, so it's like, you know, I'm waiting to go to prison. And I'm out here putting together a Walmart wish list of things I'll know I'll need to reacquire, because, you know, I had a nice home that was well stocked and well maintained, you know, not all that long ago. And now I'm starting over with nothing. Well, I'm going to go to prison, then the halfway house, then start over with nothing. You know, so it's just crazy. Like, I was looking at microwaves, right? I think the last time I bought a microwave, y'all know I ain't real young. I think it was reasonable to spend like $30, $40 tops on a decent microwave. I mean, that was a normal price bracket for a microwave. You know, nothing exciting, you know, no bells and whistles, but it's normal, standard. I was on Walmart.com, which is one of my favorite online shopping places, by the way, because I get a lot of really good deals buying stuff off there. But I was on Walmart.com. And do you know that microwaves now, like, start at $50, $60? Like, start. That's not... $60 isn't a really cool microwave. It's like the very basic mainstays. Probably not going to hold up for more than 6 months with heavy use microwave. And then, like, toasters, like for toast and bagels. I remember when toasters were like $5. And I think the last time I bought a toaster, it was maybe $10. And I remember thinking at the time, like, whoa, this is kind of pricey. Now they start at like $15. Like, it really, sometimes I feel so old and dated. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, whoa, you know, it's crazy to me how so many things that I know cannot possibly be getting much more expensive to produce are much more expensive to acquire. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I find some good deals, and you know, I'm queen of the purple classic Fabuloso. I definitely am down with buying it by the gallon from Walmart.com, even though you can buy it at Dollar Trees. It's so cheap, you know, in little bottles. But, you know, so I find some good deals, you know, some things that excite me. But some stuff, I'm just like, what? What? You know what I mean? Like I know this is a joke. I know that someone somewhere is getting a real knee slapping hee moment by putting this ridiculous price, because it's just ridiculous, you know? And then, like, I do a little research and find out that these are normal prices for things. Like, it's weird because I'm a person that really takes care of my things, you know? I take very good care of my possessions. And so, you know, and I like to keep a very humble, you know, possession situation going on. So I'm very attentive to the upkeep of my things. And so when I buy something, you know, unless there's some unforeseen madness, you know, a water situation, a fire situation, a going to prison situation, you know, a break-in, or, you know, act of God, random accident, unless there's something unforeseen that happens, generally, if I buy something, I'm going to have it, you know, a lot of things like microwaves and toasters, you know, I'm going to have that jank for like probably 10, 20 years. I mean, I'm just probably about 10 years. You know what I mean? Just because of just the way that I am, you know, I clean the filters on my vacuums. I manually clean them, you know, and I'm just one of those people that takes very good care of things. You know, there have been times in my life where I've had absolutely nothing but the clothes on my back, and that wasn't even sufficient for the weather situation. And then there have been times in my life where I had a beautiful, gorgeous, well-stocked, well-furnished, very nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. So, you know, and I could go on and on about that house because it was a dreamboat. But and it crushed me to have to give it up and give and resign to all the hopes and plans I had for my life in that house, because I had foreseen that as being somewhere I would live for 20 plus years, and that's just not what happened. But thanks to my legal situation. But, you know, but I'm a person that takes really good care of things, and I'm a person that appreciates things, and I'm a person that understands the value of things. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I'm in a good place mentally, I think, right now, emotionally, spiritually. You know, I'm really looking forward on a spiritual end. You know, I am part of an organized religion, which I'm not going to get into specifics of, and I have nothing against anyone who isn't. You know, my truth is not likely to be someone else's truth, and it certainly doesn't have to be their truth for both of our truths to be true. Little tongue twister there. But there's a lot of, like, formality, I guess, for a lot of people in my religious collective, that I just really haven't spent the time or energy really learning or studying a lot of formality, because I feel like my religious identity is very personal between me and my higher power, and it's not really very communal, you know what I mean? Or very ceremonial. But I think the communal and ceremonial aspects would definitely be things that I'm more committed to, more invested in, and just, you know, intentionally become more knowledgeable and experienced in during my incarceration. You know, there's definitely going to be a lot of positive health changes that are probably not going to... It's like that scene in Sparta where the dude is taking advantage of the queen. And he's like, you will not enjoy this, and it will not be over quickly. I think that's going to be my health journey in prison. I will not enjoy it, and it will not happen. It will not be over quickly. You know what I mean? But, you know, sometimes you got to push through the concrete, you know, to grow in the light. And it is what it is. I have family court coming up November 1st. You know, I don't talk about my family court situation or my family situation too much on here because I'm a private person. But one of the things that have really been weighing me down and upsetting me was the belief or knowing that my youngest child would be completely cut off from my family during my incarceration per the other parent's preference. And just with the family court judge we have, there's layers to that onion. But I kind of have a game plan. I kind of feel like I may be able to establish that within the family court order, there is some leeway for my family, particularly my daughter and my mother, to maintain access with my younger child, you know, my adult child and my mother. And so I'm really hopeful about that, and I'm really anxious to see how that plays out. That's November 1st. So, you know, I'm not going to do administrative remedy. You know, I thought about it and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bother, because if I get administrative remedy and I'm home for like 2 months and then they make us go back to prison, now I don't have enough time on my sentence to get the 54 days a year for good behavior off ×2. I'd only get it ×1. So would I rather have 60 days at home on an ankle monitor under super tight house arrest? Or would I rather just have, you know, have that same amount of time just taken off my sentence altogether? And certainly the second option is more so what I'm leaning towards. I am going to try to get into RDAP. As far as I know, the RDAP at this facility I'm expecting to be designated to is still suspended. Hopefully by the time I get there, that changes. You know, but I'm not doing administrative remedy. Not that I'm knocking it. You know, it's my personal choice. You know, some of you will choose to do it, and I'm not knocking that either. You know, it really is a personal choice, and I think largely comes down to looking at the amount of time you have and looking at if there's any potential detriment for you if you get it, and then it's very temporary. You know what I mean? And for me, that's what has deterred me from even bothering with it. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like things are kind of falling into place and lining up and taking their course. And really, I definitely, on one hand, sometimes I have moments where I'm very anxious and I'm just like, ooh, once I'm designated, can I just call to prison and go early? You know, but I'm pretty positive you can't do that, you know. And if you were to try to ask your judge to go in early, you know, by the time you would actually have a court date, will be on the time you've actually went in anyway, you know. So, but at the same token, you know, I'm grateful for the time that I do have in the free world, and I see a lot getting done, a lot of things for my loved ones to be comfortable, or as comfortable as they can be while I'm incarcerated, and also which will allow me to be more comfortable while I'm incarcerated, less worry, you know, about what's going on in the outside world, and will allow me to transition from incarceration back into the free world a whole lot smoother. So, you know, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good about things. You know, I'm a little impatient. You know, I want things to happen quicker than what they're happening, but that's okay. That's okay. So anyway, that's my check-in for today. About 49, 50 days until self-surrender, and you know, I'm good. I'm in a good place. So, Fed Phoenix fam, let me know how y'all are doing. If you like the video, like the video. Feel free to subscribe, hit notifications if you want notifications when new videos drop. Oops, I just hit my horn. I'm so sorry. Ignore me. When I first hit it, I was like, thinking like, who in the heck is hitting their horn? It was me. But hit the notifications bell if you want notifications when new videos drop. This is particularly important if you want to see when I go in the halfway house or I come out of prison, you know, the transformation I've been through, my experience has been at that point, my perspective. You know, whatever you're going through, remember it is just a slice of your life. That's it, a slice. And you're going to get through it because you have to. And yeah. So good day, God bless, and I will talk to y'all later.